We're preparing for Winter Storm Nemo, and you should be too. We've got updates in an interview with Hillary Green of the Cape and Islands chapter of the American Red Cross on this episode of Barnstable Today. It's Friday, February 8th, 2013. I'm Sarah Colvin. We'll start off with the cancellations. Cape Cod Community College in West Barnstable, as well as Mass Maritime Academy in Buzzards Bay. They're both closed today and will remain closed through the weekend. The Barnstable Senior Center will not have transportation today. The Adult Supportive Day program is canceled as well. At the HYCC, no hockey practice for Barnstable or Mashpee. Other cancellations there too. All recreation programs are canceled for today and tomorrow. Other delays and cancellations. Plymouth and Brockton buses are running on a weekend schedule today. No Peter Pan bus service, and the MBTA, if you're up in Boston, is stopping all service as of 3 o'clock. You can keep up to date with storm-related information and find our complete list of cancellations online. Follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/Town of Barnstable or on Twitter at twitter.com/BarnstableMA. Well, shelters are opening on the Cape today at 3 o'clock. We caught up with the Cape and Islands Red Cross to get the lowdown on their storm preparations. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Colvin. Of course, we are preparing for Winter Storm Nemo. We're talking a little bit about storm preparations, and joining me now on the phone, I welcome Hillary Green. She is the Executive Director of the Cape and Islands chapter of the American Red Cross. Hillary, thank you so much for joining us here on Barnstable Today.
Great, thanks for calling me.
So, Hillary, tell me a little bit about the American Red Cross's function during a storm event such as this.
We are very lucky to be part of a regional emergency planning committee, the REPC, which meets with all the town emergency managers and police and fire departments and decides to open regional shelters. So the nice thing is it's all a regional effort, and an executive committee meets and they decide what shelters to open, and they've decided to open 3 regional shelters today at 3 o'clock. And what the Red Cross does is we act as the sheltering part and the feeding part of this response. So it's our volunteers who are staffing the shelters and handling the feeding of the volunteers and the people who come to be safe, and we staff them round the clock.
Indeed. And Hillary, this morning, earlier today when we spoke with the Chief of Police, the decision had not yet been made. I think it was on the table then to wait until after the storm to open the shelters. So what changed as we get closer to this storm event that made you decide you wanted to open them a little bit earlier?
Well, it was a good discussion with input from both citizens and emergency managers, and I think it was the weather forecast looking like it would be so dangerous overnight that travel might be totally unable to travel. So they did decide to open 3 shelters: Sandwich High School, Dennis Yarmouth High School, and Nauset Regional High School in Eastham at 3 o'clock.
Indeed. And what can you tell me about the kind of amenities available at these shelters? Do they accept pets, for instance?
Officially, the Red Cross does not shelter pets, but fortunately we have a wonderful organization here on the Cape called Cape Cod Disaster Animal Response Team, Cape Cod DART, and they are going to be set up in all 3 shelters. So all 3 shelters will be able to accept pets. And you can check out Cape Cod DART's website to find out what you should bring.
Great and wonderful, and that's obviously what you should bring in terms of your pets. But for those of us who may be making the decision that, okay, it's time for us to evacuate and go to one of these shelters, what should a person bring with them in order to kind of set up camp at the shelter for a little bit?
Well, it's certainly not going to be, the Hilton. It's pretty much very basic shelter with cots and blankets and feeding. Snacks and lunches, and again, nothing really exotic. So I would bring anything that you would like to have with you. Don't move in, but certainly if there's any type of food that you would like to have with you, certainly any medications and any information you think you might need. There will be some health services volunteers there. The Medical Reserve Corps also sends volunteers. So again, it's not it's not someplace you'll want to spend a lot of time in, but it'll be a nice, safe, warm place. But you can also shelter at home. You can make sure that you're prepared at home and have everything you need.
Let's talk a little bit about that, Hillary. What kind of things should people have if they are to shelter at home? Obviously to ride out the storm if you can't go anywhere, if the power is out.
Right.
What do you need to have in place to safely shelter at home?
Well, make sure obviously you've got a lot of warm clothes available, extra blankets, and extra warm clothing for every family member. Make sure you've got sand or non-clumping kitty litter to make walkways or steps less slippery. And make sure you have a first aid kit and a supply of essential medications. Canned food and a can opener, a non-electric can opener obviously, bottled water, flashlights, and a battery-powered radio with extra batteries in case of a power outage so you can stay in touch. And don't forget, with your car, make sure you winterize it and you've got the gas tank full, which will keep the fuel line from freezing. To keep your house properly insulated, if the power goes out and you lose heat, you want to make sure you've keep as much heat as possible in your house. Cover the windows with plastic. Hopefully you have storm windows. And just make sure, and if you lose power and heat, run water at a trickle from faucet to make sure the pipes don't freeze.
Absolutely, all very important information, Hillary. And in terms of, of when someone might make the decision to go to a shelter as opposed to being sheltered in place, I'm sure that it's really kind of subjective. It depends on the person. But when would you recommend someone make the decision that it's no longer safe for them to be at home and it's time to make the journey to the shelter?
Well, I guess, as you said, it's an individual case. It depends. Do you have good transportation? The CCRTA is going to be taking people to shelters as long as they can stay on the roads, but I guess you got to keep close to the weather forecast. As you know, the weather on the Cape can be different in different areas, and make sure you would be able to travel safely to get to the shelter. So don't wait until there's a foot of snow and 60-mile-an-hour winds to try and head out to a shelter. So the shelters don't open until 3, and that's based upon the weather forecast, so I'm sure that'll be fine. There shouldn't be any danger in traveling at that point. But you base it on how you can travel.
Indeed, always important to make sure that you stay safe during the storm. Hillary, any other important safety tips you may want to let our viewers be aware of as we get ready for the storm? Well,
the good thing is the Red Cross has entered the 21st century with mobile apps for if you have a smartphone, which means at a touch you can, our hurricane app actually gives information about wind gusts and things like, and has tools for your app, your phone, like flashlights and strobes. But it just gives you that information. There's also a first aid app and ways to stay safe. So if you have a smartphone, you can go to redcross.org mobile apps and download those so you have that information right at your hands during an emergency like this.
Wonderful. And is there another way that people may want to get in touch with the Red Cross should they have questions about the shelters or anything else Red Cross related? What's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Well, I plan to be here, probably sheltering here right at our chapter house in Hyannis, so feel free to call our regular number, 508-775-1540, and we'll answer any questions that we can.
Great, Hillary. Thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule, and certainly stay safe out there over the weekend.
Okay, same to you. Everybody stay safe.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Hillary Green is the Executive Director of the Cape and Islands chapter of the American Red Cross, again, as we prepare for Winter Storm Nemo here on Barnstable Today. Public safety officials are urging people to stay off the roads once the snow starts to fly. Again, stay tuned to Channel 18 for updates, and you can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter to get those up-to-date information. We'll be updating you throughout the evening and all day tomorrow. Be sure to tune in to Barnstable Today each and every weekday. I'm Sarah Colvin.